Before we get back to the show, let me tell you about Bart's Pizza. Bart Basilico reinvented his father's pizzeria business by putting it on wheels. I'm talking a pizza food truck, baby. Bart and his wife Lauren travel all around Metro Detroit, cooking up homemade pies made fresh to order in their 4-layered pizza oven on wheels. You can find them on their website at eatbartspizza.com and Facebook and Instagram as well at Bart's Pizza. His last name is literally Basil, so you know he knows what he's doing. Make sure to grab a cannoli as well while you're there. Bart's Pizza, it's too good.
Are you looking for the ultimate sports experience? Well, look no further. My name is Jake Masucci, and I host a podcast called Jake's Takes. I am currently a sophomore at Oakland University and am a student manager with the men's basketball program. I started this sports podcast about 6 months ago, and I fell in love. I've been covering NFL, college football, and NBA, and going super in depth with it. I bring on a lot of guests to talk about each sport that they're passionate about. I've even covered some hockey, some baseball. We even dove into some Marvel comics, which was super fun. So this podcast covers a lot, and I've really been enjoying myself. We come out Mondays every week, and we'll even sprinkle in some weekdays. We'll be on Wednesdays sometimes. We'll be on Thursdays sometimes. We'll be on Friday. So sprinkling in every once in a while. The podcast is available on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. And we also have a great YouTube going up. So subscribe to the Spotify, subscribe to YouTube, do whatever you got to do to support the channel. And I really appreciate it. And I'll hopefully see you guys on the next episode of Jake's Takes, but enjoy listening to Giovanni. Peace.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the GioMoShow interviews. I'm Giovanni Mosheri, your host of the GioMoShow and sports media director at WXOU. And on the couch with me is the one and only director of basketball operations for Oakland University men's basketball, the one and only Colin Shannon.
Thanks for having me, Giovanni. I really appreciate everything you do covering men's basketball here at Oakland. And you can tell you really got that juice, so I'm excited to be here today.
Hey, it's all fun for me, so a pleasure to do it. So, you know, usually with these interviews, I start off with sports background of all my guests, but you guys just came back from Italy not too long ago, so I got to ask, how was Italy?
It was awesome. I mean, even for me, like a lot of our players haven't been around the world much, but neither have I. I'd never left North America, and so it was awesome getting to see Italy. We had to do so many cool things. The Vatican was my personal favorite. I cried through the whole Vatican.
Yeah, I saw that one on Instagram.
Yeah. And then like we went river rafting through the Dolomite Mountains, which was awesome. And we got to play 3 games, you know, and get better as a team, which is not only you only get to do that every 4 years. So it's an advantage that we got that year. So it was a once in a lifetime type experience, and I can't take that for granted. I'm super grateful that we got to go.
So what was, I guess just real quick thing, what was the best thing you ate over there?
So, and I think I learned something about myself is that I don't have a very good palate, where either food is good to me or it's bad. I can't, like, we were eating all this great food and everything was good, but like, could I have told you what was better than what? No, just all good. But I think that what amazed me about it is that like every block there is just 3 small business restaurants, and they're all amazing, all good. Like it's nothing like it is in America where it's you got Applebee's and Chili's or something.
Right.
It's just like small business restaurant, great food everywhere you go. And everyone was so grateful to have us. Like I have to do the meals here, and I had to do the meals there. And here, if I tried to bring someone to an Olive Garden, 27 guys to an Olive Garden 20 minutes before, they'd tell me, get lost. I don't want to hear from you. They were like, oh my gosh, please come in. Can we take a picture of the team? Can we get your autograph?
No kidding.
They were loving us. And so it was a big, it was refreshing for me.
And what was the language barrier like? Because I know a lot of, especially where you guys were up north, near the north, a lot of people know English, but was there ever a challenge with the Italian?
It was. Depending on where we were, like when we were in Rome, like almost everyone spoke English.
Yeah, and Rome is more like international at this point.
Yeah, Florence is a little bit less, but it was still kind of fine. And then we went to Venice. We stayed in a place called Jesolo, a beach just like a little bit outside. Mm-hmm. Almost no one spoke English.
Yeah.
And so it was a little tougher. And like a little less fun when you can't communicate with people. But Rome was my favorite, I think, because it was probably fun to be able to communicate with
a little bit more welcoming in that sense.
Yeah,
because when me and my brothers, we were in Sicily around the same time, and you guys were in Italy, and everyone, my family before we left, like, oh, everyone speaks English. Don't worry about it. We know people that speak English. In Sicily, they don't.
Really?
Sicily does not have as much English, and luckily me and my younger brother, we took some Italian classes in college, and we were able to get by. But man, it's exaggerated, I think, how much English is at least in Sicily.
Yeah, one of our assistant coaches, Mike Covington, told me that you just have to speak really slowly so they can try and really enunciate with your lips so they can try to understand you. And so, because that's my problem. Sometimes I'd start talking just really quick and I just confuse the heck out of them.
Right.
Even if they could speak English, I just get going and I had to slow down.
Yeah, you got to learn how to speak English in like a learning way, very deliberate and stuff.
Yeah.
So about the basketball that was in Italy, I remember seeing some of the Grizz visions afterwards. Campy was a little bit, we'll say, unimpressed with the competition, at least in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
So can you talk to me about that, like from your perspective, about like how those games went?
Yeah. So we played 3 games. We were trying to get better competition for all 3 games, and it just kind of fell through. And it's tough because most of these teams, pro teams, are not in season at that time. They don't get in season until after August. And so if you look at any of the teams who went this year, a bunch of teams in our league went on foreign trips. Northern Kentucky, Wright State, Youngstown, they all won all their games by 50 points.
Oh, okay.
Because there's not many pro teams in season. And we went a little bit later than most people, so we got to play 1 pro team. But the first team we played, we showed up and went to this small town in Italy, a few hours outside of Rome. And it was like they just pulled 20 guys just out of the village and said, "Here's a jersey." One guy was wearing a white tank top. The other guy had a Kobe jersey. And the other guy just had so it was all just a mixed match. And then the second team we played, and so we beat them by a lot of points. It was good though. We got actual game action. Even if the competition is not what we're going to play in the Horizon League, you still get to go out and try to execute the way you need to execute. And the second team we played was a little bit better. They were an organized club team, and so they had a coach. They were all their players, so they you could tell they got better. They adjusted. They made adjustments during the game. Their talent level wasn't quite good enough to be able to compete. But that means also we got minutes for guys who may not get much minutes during the season, so they got some game action. And then the third game, and unfortunately, and we didn't know it until we got there, but they required us to have a closed scrimmage, so we couldn't post a video on YouTube.
Right.
But we played a pro team from Livorno, and they were really good. They were Division B. They had their point guard was all Big Ten. I mean, all Big East at Georgetown about a decade ago, and then their center was on the Italian national team. And he had a silver medal at some point. I don't know when Italy got a silver medal, but so they were really good, and they were grown men, and they were 30 years old and strong. And so we really rebounded really well, and we defended well, better than I think we expected going against that competition.
Yeah.
Neither team shot very well, and so it was a really low scoring game. We lost by 10 points, but I think the guy who was the real standout was Jack Golke, he's a transfer from Hillsdale, Division II. He's a grad transfer. He's supposed to be a shooter, and he shot great for 4 years at Hillsdale. They went to Elite Eights in Division II. So you think he's gonna be good, but you never know until he plays against competition.
Right.
And he was the best player on the floor. And that's how he's a shooter. So if he gets hot, then he plays really good. And if he has a bad game, it's not the shooters are less consistent than someone like Trey Townsend, who's gonna score in the post 10 times a game. But he played outstanding. He was coming off screens, hitting tons of threes, leading scorer in the game from both teams, and he really kept us in it. We got ourselves down early, so we ended up losing by 10, but we really competed, so that was a good sign.
And the European rules, I remember Campy also mentioned that in some of the Grizz visions. How was it difficult for everybody to transition to those European rules? Or I was told the whistle would blow for what would normally be a normal play.
Yeah, and so we didn't even try to learn the international rules, because what's the point of adjusting our game? Because it's not like that game mattered, right?
Yes.
The biggest thing though that they got us on, and I don't even think it's not even a rule different. It was they emphasized it more. Is that, and sometimes you'll see a call this year at some point where if you catch the ball and you go to drive if your back foot
Mhm.
comes up before you put the ball down, that's a travel.
Oh,
And
okay.
because it's basically like you walked before you dribbled the ball.
Yeah.
But like a lot of times, like the ball is halfway down and you move that back foot. In America, they let that go all the time.
Yeah. It's a split second.
Italy did not let that go at all. And so our guys used to catching and ripping, where they, you could do that in college basketball, and they're not going to call it unless it's egregious. There, it's like you have to like, and then start moving.
It's got to be textbook.
And so we got maybe 10 travels off that, and Campy was losing it. But the refs thought it was funny. I think I think they enjoyed like a big time college basketball coach yelling at them because afterwards they want to take a picture and stuff. And so, but he was. Like, I've been doing this for 40 years. That's not a travel. It's not a travel.
Do the refs understand English, or are they just like, haha, funny American yelling? Or what do you think?
One of them spoke English, but not all of them, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we did on our first game because they, the refs, like just like the team, like they were just random guys. I think the refs might have just been random guys. And so the first game we had a ref, and he thought he was like in a Super Bowl or something. He was making every call like huge, exaggerating, and like he was yelling and teeing up the players on the other team.
Jeez.
And then he got into a fight with the other team's coach in the parking lot. They weren't fist fighting, but they were screaming at each other in the parking lot after the game.
That's called a friendly conversation in Italy.
No, it was pretty funny. And then we had our second game, and our referees looked like they could have been 15 years old. The third game, they were real refs. It was professional. You had to play in like a real arena.
Yeah.
And so it was good it was probably good for our players who want to play pro to see what a pro division be, which would be very good for them. That'd be if Blake Lampman graduates this year and goes to play in Italy in that league, that would be great.
Yeah.
And so it's good for him to see what that's like,
Yeah, and also what that's like. I've been told that there was either the arena that you played in the whole time or just the one didn't have air conditioning, and it was hot during that time. It's like mid-late August in Italy. It gets hot in there.
Yeah.
So how did you guys handle the heat?
Yeah, it was like 100 degrees and in that gym, and something I'd never seen before. And Jack Golke, I talked about how he played so well.
Mm-hmm.
His biggest problem, though, was he kept getting beat defensively backdoor, and that was because he was sweating through the bottom of his shoes.
What?
And so he kept slipping. And so every time we had a break, he'd come down, we play offense or whatever, and he'd come back on defense. I'd throw him a towel. He'd quickly wipe off his shoes, and he'd throw it back to me and keep playing. And then we do that every single time because the bottom of his shoes were dripping sweat.
Oh my God.
And the thing is too, and this is the thing that really surprised me about Europe. I mean, I guess probably people had said it, but they don't drink a lot of water there.
That was a huge thing that I noticed.
And so, it's a 100-degree gym, and we're like, ask for water, and they're looking at us like we're crazy.
Yeah.
So we brought some backup, but they were gonna give us like 4 bottles of like sparkling water on the game.
Can't stand sparkling water.
Yeah, exactly. Our guys hated it every time. I'd be trying to not wait because water's not free there.
No.
And so, and I have to manage the budget. And so we'd have these sparkling waters that no one would be drinking, and I'd just be trying to chug it. Try to not waste the money.
You got to get it down.
I was trying to tell the guy, come on, drink the sparkling water. Drink the sparkling water. No, I only want still. That was one of my biggest challenges in Italy. So.
Yeah, naturale, non frizzante is I would say, the sparkling water just tastes dirty, man. Like, I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, and like you said, that language barrier. Sometimes you go to restaurants, they don't speak English, and usually you can point on the menu. But for the water, I just be like, please, we need this many still waters. And they bring out sparkling. I was like, no. They just wouldn't understand it.
You see the red caps like, no.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it and got a lot out of that Italy trip. But going to you now into your background, I have been told that you were a student manager for Oakland before you got your position. Now, so kind of walk me through your journey, I guess, even back then, how you got into sports in general, just kind of like your journey up to this point.
Yeah. So I've been in Oakland this is my 8th season now. I like to joke that, and it's been like this for a while, but I like to joke that I'm the second longest tenured men's basketball staff member. Campy's got me by 32 years, but so I been played basketball that's the only really sport I only really ever cared about playing wise. I really dedicated myself to it, but I was never really very good. And so I thought I was going to the NBA when I was in like 5th grade. And then, I started playing AAU and I realized I wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And so by the time I got to about 8th grade, I was okay, I want to coach. And so I've been wanting to coach for years and I've been planning on that. And so when I was like a sophomore in high school, I emailed Campy and I said, hey, and then I thought these jobs are really hard to get a manager.
Right.
And so I didn't know what to expect. And so I emailed them, and it was a really long email. Probably should have just done a paragraph, but I told him my life story or whatever. And I asked if I could be a manager, and he responded back and he said, just email me the summer going into your senior year, going into my freshman year of college. And so the only school I applied to in high school for college was Oakland because I wanted to be a manager. And I emailed Campy in that summer. He didn't respond. I was like, uh-oh. Emailed Campy again. He didn't respond. I was like, oh, my goodness. So I emailed him one more time. I got a response back from Sarah Judd, who what used to be what my role is now. She said, stop emailing Campy. Call Joe Powers, who was a graduate assistant. And I was like, okay. And so I saw an email, and I'm nervous, right? I think I'm like, okay, I got a job interview for this manager spot. And so I call the guy, Joe Powers, GA. And he's like, okay, you want the job? I was like, yes. He's like, are you sure? It's like, yeah. Okay, you got it. Can you come to practice next week? And I was like, what? I hung on the phone. I was like, I thought it was the interview. He was like, are you sure you want to do this? It was kind of like,
I put a suit on and everything. What do you mean this isn't an interview?
Yeah. Because of places like us, and because you only ever hear about managers at Michigan State or something like that, where it's super competitive. And they have you have to know somebody to get in. At Oakland, they're looking for people who want to make the difference and who want to put the work in. And so I went to my first practice, and I was the only manager there because managers didn't go in the summer usually because it wasn't a thing they did.
Right.
And I really kind of just dedicated myself to it. Like I took being a manager like it was my job. And there's some great managers who helped me a lot who came before me, but I think I was like the first person to do that at Oakland. And so it kind of put me in a good light with Campy that kind of helped me keep moving up.
Even after the emails?
Yes, even after the emails. And so and then something else I did this time as a manager is that I also went and coached at my alma mater, Royal Shrine, as the JV and freshman coach. And I was supposed to be an assistant coach. And then the guy who was the head coach for JV and freshman coached me at the time. He was my freshman coach. And he told me, he was like, I'm getting older. You can just be the head coach if you want. And so I took that and ran with it.
Yeah, I'm sure you asked him, like, are you sure? And he goes, yeah, boom, right there, head coach.
Yeah, we didn't even tell the varsity coach. The varsity coach didn't know I was a head coach until he saw me standing up there and by then it was too late to stop me. And so that was, I'll tell you, that was the most fun I've had being in basketball so far, being a head coach for it was JV and freshman team, but we was in one practice. I had 30 guys, and it was tough to coach a practice with 30 guys with two different teams. Yeah. But I got to do basically, 4 years, that's 8 seasons. I coached 160 games, had like 90 wins. It was so much fun, so much experience I gained from it. And I think it helped, one time, Campy and them, Campy brought him and the team all to one of my games once.
No
we ended up losing. We're a small little Class C school. We played a Class A school. But I called timeout. I drew up a play at the end of the half, and we scored, and all the team goes crazy.
Oh, I'm sure. That's awesome.
Right? And so I think it helped me being a coach, my confidence with my basketball knowledge, with everything. But it helped me with all that, but it also helped me in Campy's eyes, where it not only was they saw what I was doing in Oakland, working super hard, and it's a manager. It's I'm not winning us games or anything like that, but I'm just being the best to bring the water out. And when someone falls, I'm the first person to wipe sweat up. And every time you look in the gym, I'm the guy rebounding for whoever it was,
So you could tell that fire is lit within you.
Yeah, and so I think doing that, plus I was doing what I was doing at Shrine, it kind of put me in a good light. And so my next move at Oakland, a year and a half before, because I've never really looked for another job outside Oakland, because I was a manager a junior year, and usually when you're a manager, you graduate as a senior, and now you're scrambling trying to find a job. A graduate assistant job is usually what it is. So that graduate assistant is basically you're a low level assistant coach, where you can't really do coaching necessarily, but you can help work out the players, and you help assistant coaches out, and they pay for your grad school. And so but halfway through my junior year, Campy offered me a job. We were just like and this is so Campy, just like in the locker room. I was picking up all the hangers from the jerseys after the guys went out to the court.
Yeah.
And Campy likes to have his he's unwind before games. Like he likes to be alone for a little bit. And so like he's in there saying that. He's like, well, why are you in here doing this? Like, oh, because we don't want the hangers to break, whatever. He's like, okay. He's thinking, so you want the GA job in 2 years? I was like, yeah, of course. Okay, it's yours. And that's it. Like I was like, I came out just like so excited.
He's like, all right, now get out. It's my quiet time.
But it was just like so nonchalant. Like you said, like I said before the interview, like they said, you want the job? Take it. Like this is like a job that so many people would kill for, and it just like happened like that. And obviously there's a lot of work that led up to it.
Of course, yeah.
But it's just like funny. That's like how the way Campy operates. Now I was GA for a couple years, and then we had a director of operations, DJ Mosini, who left after only being there a year. And so that spot opened up, perfect timing as I left my GA. And I asked Campy if I could apply for it, and I ended up getting it. And it's a tough job, responsible for a lot. And like I want to do basketball, right? That's not necessarily basketball, but I'm in charge of fundraising and gear and food and travel.
It's all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, but this is part of the steps to being a coach. And I'm super lucky where I'll say this, and now that I had it for a year, and I think that I won't be I think people see I've done it well enough, but I was not qualified at all for the job. There are people, there are 50 people who would apply for that job more qualified than me. But I don't think there's any person who cares more about Oakland University than me, and who applied for that job. Not saying there's no one in the world, but no one who wants to be director of basketball operations at Oakland cared more about Oakland than me. And really, when it comes down to it, like my job is not super hard. Like I don't have to be, I'm not a genius. Like I never got that good grades in school. I'm not a super smart person. You don't have to be to book hotels or order food or fundraise. You don't have to be super smart. You just have to be consistent and willing to sacrifice time, your energy, everything to be able to do it all. And because I want Oakland to be great and Oakland basketball to be great, I think that I was the good candidate for that. And so that's kind of like how I try to contextualize my job now as director of operations. Because as director of operations, so much goes through you. You're kind of like a hub for the men's basketball team. And so you kind of have to be someone who wants to connect people and wants the best for the program, and not just like what's best for your personal career. And so I'm just trying to do that best for Oakland.
You're just doing everything you can to support the team that you obviously have so much passion for.
Yeah. And so I think like I talked to some fans about it, where like I think that like I want to appreciate, like part of my job too is like helping with fan experience and helping with, fundraising our donors. Yeah. Where I think sometimes we fall short in that, and every mid-major team does, because we just don't have the resources. Yeah. But like when I lived on campus here, and I had 8 different roommates in 4 years, because we go here and people would not feel super included, right? They didn't feel like there was enough to do. And I always felt there's something to do because I was so much involved with basketball. Yeah. I was always doing stuff
to do on campus, you mean, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure you feel like you're doing this with Oakland, right? You're part of it. And not everyone has that. And I feel like basketball could be that. And it's not even just for the students here, but it's for the people who love Oakland, who support us after they graduate. Yeah. And so a big part of my mission, I think, as director of operations, I think a lot of people wouldn't care about in my role, is I was trying to figure out ways I can like appreciate the people who care about Oakland basketball. Because I think if we do that, it gives everyone a sense of belonging. It helps us get better, but it gives them a sense of belonging and makes people want to be here. It makes students want to be. If we do a good job appreciating the Grizz gang, those students are going to have a way better experience at Oakland, in my opinion. And if I appreciate our donors, they're going to have a way better experience with Oakland University, and so I'm really trying to keep everyone included in that sense.
Yeah, and I think we definitely see eye to eye in that kind of sense. Like not only for me and what I do at the radio station here, obviously there's the side of the broadcasting career and to give other people opportunities as well. But man, to get Oakland sports and especially the basketball to have a bigger spotlight on that, to have that be a bigger emphasis on campus, and to make it more of a sports school, because I think of sports as one of the biggest things that go into a college experience. If Oakland doesn't have that, then people just come here and go home. So I think we both have that kind of vision and mission to make sports more relevant on campus, to get people involved, because it's fun. Once they know about it and once they go and they see it, I think they're going to fall in love with it. So I had that same perspective. I think we're alike in that way.
Yeah. There's only so many options as a university that you can have be like the epicenter of culture in campus. And in so many places it's football. Right? If you look at the directional schools, it's all football. But like there are schools for like, and I understand there's different levels to all this, but like Grand Canyon or something where basketball is their epicenter of culture. And they sell out every single game, and they have thousands of students there, and they do all these amazing things. And like, it's just like I like to fantasize about a world like that. We could be doing something like that. And it takes a lot of work. And it takes money. But I just want to do my part to make it just like a little bit better if I can. Right. And it's frustrating to think like, oh, it's not going to all get there all together. But I think if I can do a little bit more in my role to care about that, it can make a difference even a little bit.
So getting back to it, I mean, I could talk about Oakland sports and kind of both the passion we have like that forever, but I want to move on now to the actual basketball, what's going to be on the blacktop this upcoming season. So not only are we having the usual class of upcoming freshmen, we have a lot of transfers as well. So can you kind of give me and everybody else a preview of what's going to be different from last year for the men's basketball team?
So I think we have a lot of new guys. We have 8 new players. I do think that maybe this will surprise you, maybe it won't, that we'll have a lot of continuity in who's playing them minutes. Like we're really going to bank on our 2 big men, Trey Townsend and Chris Conway. Chris Conway is playing unbelievable right now in practice. And it has to happen in the games, but he's got all the skills in the world, and he's always had all the skills in the world. His thing was about if he could just get that, big man mentality, to go grab a rebound and not get the ball stripped out and get stronger. He always had the skills, and so now it's all coming together right now. And then Trey Townsend is one of the 5 best players in the league, and so we're going to work all through the post there. And then we got Blake Lampman again, who's going to come back and play big minutes. We're just hoping. I love Blake. I've been here. I was a manager when Blake got here 5 years ago. I was a junior manager at that point, I think, too. So me and Blake have been through a lot here. And I'm hoping he can just stay healthy, because the guy worked harder than anybody, and he can shoot the ball, and he's our best defender probably. And so if he can stay healthy, that would be great, where he's dealt with so many. He got knee injury last year, foot injury 2 years before, and it really throws off his shot when he gets hurt. And so if he can stay healthy, that'll be great. Give us a good 3-point shooting threat. And then I talked about earlier, Jack Golke. He's really cemented a spot in that rotation as being made probably a starter and one of the guys who plays a ton of minutes. And just Campy talks about it a lot, how keeps looking for his next great shooter, for a guy who can come off screens, and he's opened the playbook again when you had Travis Bader and Max Hooper and Javen Cumberland. And so like Golke seems like he's that guy. Until it happens in a game, Division I games, you can't guarantee it, but he seems like he is, because he can really come off those screens and hit threes. And the point guard, we'll see. Right now, it's still a battle.
Big shoes to fill for Jalen Moore now playing in Iceland.
And I think if I don't want to speak out of turn where I don't make the decisions on who plays, so I don't know exactly. Campy does, but I think Rocket Watts would probably be our starting point guard today if we played today. And so Rocket has really, I think he keeps maturing, and he's a great defender. And he's got to make shots. He got to hit threes in games, and he's got to take care of the ball and run the offense. But he's obviously got a ton of talent. But we also brought in multiple other point guards who are really good and who can compete for the spot. Tone Hunter and Mike Rogers, both transfers. We got another really good wing transfer, DQ Cole, from Henry Ford. He's a JUCO All-American, and he's been awesome.
I remember Kevin Beers when you guys could check out that interview on YouTube. He mentioned DQ he said deep from three is what Kevin told me as a preview.
And we got tons of options. Andre Polk, and we're bringing back Cooper Craggs, redshirt freshman last year. We got a lot more options than we've had in the past. I would say that I think we're a deeper team than we've been in a while. We're not as top heavy. Like usually I would say that we have guaranteed 5 best players in the league the last 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say we have that. We have 1. And maybe someone steps up and becomes a top 5 player.
Right.
But we have 9 guys who could play, or 10 guys who can play. Where before it was more 6 guys who can play, but we had 2 of the 5 best players in the league. And then, you get worn down, someone gets hurt, and now you're in trouble.
Yeah, we saw some of those minutes stack up last season, yeah.
So hopefully having this deeper team will be able to work. And I'm interested to see how Campy does. I think the world Campy, so I think he'll be able to do it. But I've never seen him with a team like this. And he said he's never had a team like this before, too, where he's had deep teams before. But, like, when we won the league, it was my first year, we won the league in 2016. We had a super deep team. Mm-hmm. But we had the starters who were seniors or redshirt juniors, like Martez Walker, Sharon Dorsey Walker, Jalen Hayes, right? And then the backups who were the deep were freshmen, who were Javen Cumberland, Brad Brechting, Xavier Hilmays, who are going to be all-league players in 3 years, but they were just freshmen.
Right.
Now we're super old, where we've got, 9 upperclassmen. I think that's the number off the top of my head. I could be wrong on that. But so now it's not freshmen who are waiting their turn. It's managing all these upperclassmen who want to play right now.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. I think that being deep is a really good thing. You need it. It's just going to be interesting because I don't think we've seen Oakland basketball like the team like this in my memory. So.
It sounds like it's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah.
And finally, we have a new assistant coach on the horizon. Coach Bobby has now entered the arena. Yep. So, kind of talk to me about what he brings, and what's been your impression of him so far?
I love Bobby. He has unbelievable energy. He is a guy who works the players out of tunnel, always stay in the gym, works super hard recruiting. He is just the best way to describe him is that he's a grinder for sure. And if you come from somewhere like junior college, like you did at Garden City, and you're successful, you have to be a grinder, right? Because you're doing everything there. You're doing my job and you're doing the assistant coach's job there because you don't have a director of operations,
right?
And you're returning, and guys in college can only stay 2 years, so you're turning over your team every 2 years, and so you're working like crazy.
Yeah.
So he's bringing that same energy, and the guys love him. He's a young guy, so he's only 31 years old, and so like he relates to the players well. And the thing is too, he was in his own right an unbelievable player. Like he played at Madonna, and he was a NAL All-American, and he just got put in their Hall of Fame. He's all-time leading scorer and second in assists, I believe, at Madonna, and he went and played in Germany for 2 years.
No kidding! Congratulations to Bobby. Wow.
Like there's I know people think, oh, Madonna, like you're not very good because they're not Division I, but he played in Germany. Where think about like Jalen Moore right now is playing in Iceland.
Yeah.
Bobby's playing in Germany. It played in Germany. So like, we all know how good Jalen Moore was.
Oh yeah.
So Bobby was probably around that kind of level player. He just didn't happen to play D1 because he probably got overlooked, maybe
right.
his size or whatever.
Right, and like when you get to that like professional international level, like it doesn't really matter where you come from. You're still like you made it to that level.
Yeah, and so he's an elite player, and so he knows what you have to do to become an elite player, and the guys love him. He's a good dude, and so we are really really lucky to have him.
And that's awesome to hear. I can't wait to meet him at media day and and talk to him throughout the season. Hopefully, I'm calling enough games to get to know him well. So to wrap up, I'm going to give you the floor here. We talked a lot about this upcoming season, but kind of a short snippet. Sell everybody on this season of men's basketball at Oakland University.
So I think this is going to be a really exciting season because the Horizon League is really good this year, and we are in that top echelon of teams. There's about 6 teams that are going to compete for that league, and we are right there. And it's not. And there's some unknown. I wouldn't say there's sometimes we walk into the years like we're the most talented team on paper, and we're not the most talented team. We're right in there in the mix, and so we're gonna need that home court advantage to get over the top. And I think it's gonna be a ton of fun. And I think packing the arena is only gonna help us push us over that top. I think we're gonna be a team that shoots a ton of threes. more than we've had in the past, and we're going to make them. So that's going to be fun, solid basketball. And I think the students, like, this is, what else are you going to do on a Friday night here at Oakland or a Thursday night? Get out here to the game. You know, you'll be there with 500 other students. It was great to know you'll get to meet people. There's people who still go Oakland games who are married someone they met in the Grizz gang, you know. And so that's what college is about. And I think this is something that we could really just have a great experience together as an Oakland community.
Got to get to the main event on campus, that being men's basketball. And Colin Shannon, thank you so much for coming on to the JoMo Show. I've had a ton of fun talking to you. We've gotten to know each other over last season, but to have you now here in the studio, it's been great having you on the JoMo Show.
No problem, Giovanni. Like, honestly, and I want to say this, like, I respect you so much for all the grind you're putting in, what you're doing. You're going to be successful because there's not another person. I don't know if there's another person in athletics and journalism here at Oakland who's as dedicated to you as you are about it. You are you're at tons of sporting events. You are meticulous about everything. I was being, you know, I've had a tough summer with different family things. And so I was back and forth like with the scheduling thing, and you stayed on me. It was good because I wanted to do this really badly and I couldn't find a time, and you stayed consistent. A lot of people would have just given up, and I'm not like I'm some big interview, but I know you bring that energy to everyone.
Of course.
And it's all. I had a great time here, and you're a good interviewer, and you're just gonna keep getting better and better. And so I appreciate everything you do because you doing what you do elevates us and makes a better experience for everyone in Oakland and makes us a better basketball team. So thank you for that.
I really appreciate those kind words, Colin.
No problem.
And you can listen to the JoMo Show live Thursdays at 6 on WXOU. At least until the basketball season starts. The schedule might have to change, but you can find the JoMo Show at any time, either way, on YouTube and Spotify. So thank you, everybody. This has been the JoMo Show Interviews.